Hello and welcome to Draw With Me. I am Danny Gregory and it is Thursday and we get together every Thursday to draw. As you can see, last week we drew movie candy and that was delicious. And it was amazing to see all of your work and also to see the variety. Like some people brought in their own other kinds of movie candy or candy from other parts of the world. We had focused just on classic American candy, but it's so nice to see all of you. And I see a lot of familiar and some new folks here in the chat. So welcome all. It's so nice to see you. I am alone today because JJ is out of town. So I'm hoping that everybody behaves well on the chat and I don't have to step out of my drawing mode to deal with anything. So let me know if anything does happen, but hopefully everybody is happy and drawing and here for the right reason. So what else? This week has also been exciting because my book has come out, You Do You, Essays on Being Creative. And it's just so nice to have a fresh book out there. And this is a book that people ask me to put together because it is sort of a collection of some of my essays. If you're a regular visitor to Draw With Me participant, you know that I'm always going on about my essays I write every week. Well, people have said to me, I love getting it in an email form, but I would love to be able to share it with my friends. I would love to be able to carry it around. I'd love to be able to make margin comments, and I would love it if you illustrated it. So I did. I did lots and lots of illustrations, and the book is filled with those as well. So, so this is out. You can buy it, and let me just tell you where. You can buy it by going to dannygregory.com, which is my website, and right there you can buy a paperback version. You can also buy an ebook version if you prefer to have it on your phone or on your Kindle. This is, it was originally going to be 100, I'm not sure how many there are, probably 85 essays. They're snackable. They're designed to be just, when you need a little pep talk, they're there. And I see that Catherine is glad that I've done it. Missy has read it. Let's see, other people. Mary got her book. You know who got a book too? Let me just see here. Breaky. There's Breaky I think Breaky's in Seattle. Breaky's got his copy of the book and is ready to chomp on it. So, yes, B has it. Edza has it. Good. So it is available on Amazon, as Catherine says. It is not on international versions of Amazon. In other words, non-US versions of Amazon. I'm sorry about that. I have not been able to arrange that yet. But yes, if you just go to and if you look for my name and look for the title, You Do You. So that is the title comes from one of the essays. And a lot of what I write about is about the idea of freedom, permission, empowerment when it comes to making art. Because a lot of people feel like they don't have the right to make art, or they don't know how to do it, or they're not doing it well, or they're not doing it the right way. And ultimately, my point is, do you. That's also what we do here in Draw With Me. We do our own versions of it. And to heck with what anybody else thinks, including the voice in our head. We are here to have fun, to express ourselves, to share how we see the world. And the way to do that is to make art on a regular basis. And the fact is, there are all kinds of benefits that you get from making art in terms of how your brain functions, in terms of your moods, stress reduction, fighting off cognitive decline. There's just so many benefits to making art, as well as it being fun. And you know what? It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. You still get the exact same benefits as long as you allow yourself to do it. So hopefully many of you know this. If you're new to art making, if you're new to Draw With Me, yes. I see that Janice read something at Watercolor Wednesday. So it doesn't seem like Barbara remembers exactly what it was. So I'm not sure how good of a testament that is to either my book or Janice's reading of it. I'm not sure. Mary did some crap art today. Good. Let's make some crap art today. She doesn't care. She says it's all part of growth. It's true. The more you make, the more control you'll have. The easier it'll be for you to, to express yourself. Fran says the book arrives really quickly. That's good to know. Catherine says it's available on Amazon in Canada. So that's all good. Good. Betsy's reading it. So yes, a lot of people are reading it. So that's enough of that. You got it. I wrote a book. You'll probably hear about it from me again in the future. But for now, that's that. All right. I want to tell you about our sponsor today because the art supplies that I'm going to be working with today, I've been playing with the last couple of days, just kind of getting ready for today's exercise. I don't usually do that, but sometimes I just do. I say, you know what? How would I do this? And I don't want to be dithering here on the air, although you've probably seen me dither many times. So I decided I'm going to play around with it and see if I can practice a bit. So today we're going to be working, or I'm going to be working with these drawing inks from Winsor & Newton. And drawing inks are, I don't know if you've ever used them before, but they're a really interesting medium. In some ways, you could compare them with watercolors. I think in some ways they're pretty different. This set of watercolors is called the William Collection. They have another one called the Henry Collection. And they're these little bottles of ink. This is an example of one, and a rather stained one, because I've been using them a lot. And the colors are really great. They're really vibrant. I think they're, in a lot of ways, much cleaner and brighter than watercolor. They're like watercolor in that they're fast drying, they're transparent. So you can draw a line and then you can watercolor over it and you'll see the line through it. What I like about them also is that once they dry, they are pretty water resistant. So you can put on other layers, you can do other media on top of it, and they pretty much stay exactly as they are. They're not going to be reactivated like watercolor and gouache can be sometimes. You can mix them. And what I also really love, and what I'm going to be doing today, is you can obviously use a brush, but also you can use a dip pen. Or you can use really anything that you would use with ink. And so you can use the same color as a brush thing, and then you can also draw on top of it. And I just love drawing with colored ink and a dip pen, and I'm going to be doing that today, so you'll see that. So we're going to be giving away a set of these, and if you would like to be in the drawing for the set, please write to us, info@sketchbookschool.com. We can only do it for people with a U.S. mailing address because we are sponsored by Winsor & Newton USA. But just write to us and tell us why you'd like it. Similarly, you could also write to us at our post office box. If for some reason you prefer that, you might want to write to us in ink, whatever. Why are they called ink instead of paint? Well, they're not paint. They are ink. So that, I'm not sure technically what the difference is, but they're not paint-like. You'll see. They're very transparent. So Wild Wolf Art says she wanted to draw with ink pens. I think she means, she says dip pens. And, that is, dip pens are just one of my favorite tools, and I use them quite a lot. Are they the same as India ink? Well, India ink has shellac in it, I think. So they're not. There is one version of one bottle, as you can see in this set, is black. Can you see it? Black India ink. So there's a black in that set. So there's, I guess they're kind of in that thing, but India ink tends to be opaque. I think pretty much opaque. Whereas a lot of these are. Do you need to use distilled water? Probably. I don't know. I don't think so. I just use water out of the tap. So you don't need to do anything like that. Are they light fast? I don't know for sure. I think they are reasonably light fast, yes. And certainly I use them in a sketchbook, so that is rarely a major consideration for me. But, all right. Jean says she uses feathers. That's nice. A quill. Old school. Ye oldie. Yes, Martina also uses turkey feathers. So yes, that's, are they alcohol ink? I don't think so. They're water-based. They are water-based drawing ink. That's, so as you'll see, I mix them with water. I clean my brushes with water. And I think they're thick. They're not as thick as, say, calligraphy ink. And they're just lighter. You'll see. What else? Slow Pursuit would like a copy but doesn't do Amazon. Well, you can buy the ebook. The ebook is not from Amazon. It's from me. So if that's what you prefer, if for some reason you have a problem with Amazon, all good. Okay, what else? I'm just looking quickly through this. Normally, JJ is so good about keeping track of the chat, and I am trying to just make sure that I keep up on everything, any questions you have or anything you're saying. So did I see somebody say that it was available on Amazon Germany? Are the inks mixable? Yes, they are mixable. You'll see me mix them. I mix them just like I mix. You can mix them obviously by layering them, but you can also just mix them in a dish, which is what I'm going to do, or in a palette. So good. I think that's what size tip is good. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking about the nib? What size nib? I use one nib pretty much exclusively these days, which is the G nib from Zebra, a G nib, but you can use any nib you want to. All right. Let's see. Any other thoughts or questions or experiences with ink? Or we'll keep talking about this. So today is Moth. Is it National Moth Day? We did this last year. Do you remember we celebrated Moth Day last year, and we drew a bunch of beautiful moths. I really love doing that. I hope that you did too. We're not going to do exactly the same thing. Today, we're going to draw caterpillars and the moths they become. Which sounds like the title of like some kind of a chat show. Today on Danny Gregory Live, we'll be discussing caterpillars and the moths they become. Sang Sabli, nice to see you. Mothra Day. Yes, wasn't it? It was. Yup. So, all right, Mothra Day. It is. So, let's get into it. And here it is, the banded tussock moth. Our very first moth. These are, by the way, this is like my little swatch card of these colors. Aren't they beautiful? I just think they're just gorgeous. I think they are very, very nice. And so clear, so clean, clear. Okay, so the banded tussock moth. I mean, look at that thing. It's crazy. It doesn't look real in a way, right? Can you imagine if you saw that walking around? It might freak you out a bit. Freaks me out a bit too. The banded tussock moth. It'll be interesting also to look at these and just sort of see the comparison between what they are and what they become. You know, what they grow into. So, all right. Let's think about how we're going to do this, because as you can see, it's a kind of a complex thing. It has lots of colors to it. So I'm going to probably start with this, which is sunshine yellow. By the way, I put a little piece of tape on the top of each one so that I can grab them from the top and know exactly what color they are. But what I like about these also is look at they got different artists to create the labels and the boxes. So that's really unusual and beautiful. So let's begin. I'm going to start with a brush, I think. And I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to think about the page a little bit. I think I'll probably work here in the top part of this page. Yeah, I'm just going to do it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down kind of a little kind of undercoat almost of this guy. What are you going to work in? Are you going to do watercolor? I mean, you could really draw these guys in any medium you wanted to. You could do them in just black and white. You could just do a line drawing. Could be fun. So I just put down this little thing, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to add a lot of stuff on top of this. So don't be dismayed if initially this looks kind of like not much. It will start to look like a bit more as we progress. And then I'm going to just pull out my trusty hair dryer. Here's my hair dryer. Here it is. And I'm just going to turn down the volume. So that's pretty dry. I wouldn't normally do this, but, I don't want you to have to sit around waiting, watching paint dry here, or watching ink dry. So then I'm going to take, this is Pete Brown. You remember Pete Brown? Wasn't he one of the original drummer for the Beatles? That was Pete Best. But, yeah, so I'm taking, by the way, this is what I'm not good at, which is I don't leave these open. Because I am such a klutz and a slob that I almost invariably. So I am grabbing, here's a dip pen, here's my G-nib, and I'm just going to dip it into the ink. Okay, so you'll take for granted that that's what I'm doing off camera. I'm just doing that. So now I'm going to just do some like little hairs. These cute little bristles. This critter has, the banded tussock caterpillar. So little groupings of hairs kind of running along the edge of its back. I might come back in and do a little bit more sunshiny yellow. Like that initial yellow I chose is a bit too orangier than I want it to be. What's the question? Does ink go bad after a long time, even if it's never used? I don't think so. I mean, the water will evaporate over time if they're not tightly sealed, or the lid might kind of glue itself on. But here's my suggestion. Don't let it dry up. Use it. Use it. We don't want to have a bunch of ancient, moldering, dusty art supplies sitting around. Think about how much pleasure we get out of making art, right? And yet we don't want to spend money on it. Every time we do, we worry that we're wasting it. But you think about, like, a bottle of ink costs a lot less than, say, a movie ticket, or maybe a couple of drinks at a bar. These little tufts that it has coming out of the front. I wonder what this even looks like when it's moving. Can you imagine? Remember last year when we did this, we also had a moth expert who happened to be just a member of our drawing community. That was pretty cool. She was working on her PhD about moths. Told us a bunch of stuff about them. I think it's pretty cute. Now I'm going to just wash my nib a bit. And then I think I'm going to go in with, I was using sunshine yellow. I think I'm going to do a bit of canary yellow next. So, yeah, see, this would have been a better color. This canary yellow. I should have looked at my swatch chart. This will be fine though. But you know, this is my impression of this creature, which this creature looks kind of like a corn cob with fur. So Deborah says she's thinking of shredded wheat cereal. Yes, I get it. Me too. Boy, I love shredded wheat. So, Inky Drew says he loves fountain pens and inks, just don't know how to use them. Well, you know what? I taught a course called Dip into Dip Pens. You can get it on the Sketchbook School website if you want. You can learn what I know about it. We did a workshop a long time ago about fountain pens, but which I enjoy, but I think I enjoy the dip pen and I use it much more these days. All right. So there we have it. And now I'm just going to do a little label. I think I'll do it in orange maybe. The banded tussock. Banded tussock. Here we go. Banded. I'm getting a lot of nice railroading here. Banded. I like that banded is kind of railroaded, but I'm going to make sure that tussock isn't. Okay, so there's the banded tussock, and that's the moth. I mean, that's the caterpillar. Let's have a look at the moth. Gina Z spilled. Disaster spilled. Well, can you do something creative with it? Did you spill it on your page or did you spill it on the table? Let's find out. All right, let's have a look. Where were we? There's the banded tussock moth upon maturity. All growed up. So there it is, the banded tussock moth. How are we going to approach this guy? The banded tussock moth is definitely more sunshine yellow than canary yellow. So I think I'm going to do... I'm going to first of all make sure I close up all my bottles of ink. Love working with ink, but I just gotta be smart about it. Not rush, not be clumsy, just be calm and cool. All right, so I think I want to use the sunshine yellow this time. And so I shall. Okay. I'm going to take a little dish here. I'm going to put a bit of this in here. I'm just going to dilute it a bit. Not sure what that is. Some schmutz. Now it's becoming multiple schmutzes. Okay, so I'm thinking I want to make this kind of Because look at how delicate those wings are, right? So I want to have just a little kind of background for those wings. This is sort of an approximate shape, but I'll go in and refine it. You'll see in a second. And I might put in this. All right, this might come back to haunt me a little tiny bit, but let's see if I can do this. Can I float? Yes, I did. Okay. Float just a little bit in here. So you see, this is, again, kind of what you could do with watercolor, right? You can float a bit of color in there. And so now I'm going to quickly slam on the hairdryer. So, I don't know if you noticed that if you were watching. The hairdryer kind of blew it around in a cool way. It blew the pigment around. So it dried it, but it pushed the wetness around, which I like. So what I can do now is I can take this undiluted ink now, and I'm going to just work on that body. What you can see of it through behind the wings there. Sorry, I'm concentrating hard to get this shape right. This is too close. So, and see, while it's still wet, I can move it around a bit. But this is just the background for what I'm doing. I really want to just have just some color back there. So now I can start to draw on top of it. This is almost like a Rorschach test of a moth. What do you see here? A banded tussock? Correct. Brenda has identified over 110 different kinds of moths at my home in the last 3 months. Who knew? Oh my God. How many holy sweaters do you have? That's my first thought. I just think about how many sweaters I've had destroyed by these moths. Boy, I'm really getting into the details here, which is kind of not what I expected I was going to do, but it's okay. Sometimes I know what I'm going to do when I do a drawing. A lot of times I have no idea where it's going to go, where it's going to take me, what I'm going to emphasize. But that's part of the adventure, right? The discovery. This is quite calming. I don't want to spend too much time doing this. I'm seeing it's already half. What's it called? Half an hour I've been jabbering, but I do feel like I want to spend the time doing this. And I was hoping that we would manage to do 3 pairs of moths and their caterpillars. So let's see if we can manage that. It's nice. It's sort of parchmenty. This is the sort of thing where I could get really super anal about getting every exact line in the place that's supposed to be. But I'm inspired by the way that this ink is flowing and is bleeding to be more loose, more kind of just suggestive of the overall feeling of this critter. I think that's fine. And I think I'm going to use a little orange in here somewhere to do these beautiful orange legs. So in this case, I'm feeling like the moth is kind of nice, but that caterpillar was nicer, was more interesting, more unusual. I wonder, are all of his legs only at the front? I guess they are. So he's kind of like dragging that big body around with just these 4. Is it possible? There must be 2 legs underneath the wings, like landing gear. Must be. And now I think I'm going to take this sunshine yellow again, and I'm going to texturize this a bit. Put a little bit of fur in here. I could mix a little bit. Mix it a little bit right here on the pen almost by dipping into another color. Dipping a little tiny bit of orange in there. To add a bit more texture to it. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Feeling pretty good about it. What do you guys think? It looks better a little bit further away. When you're seeing it on the super close on the camera, that's actually like way more intense than it really is. So, but here's the point about using these drawing inks. I hope you're getting the point, which I really like, which is being able to use these same colors to draw lines as I did to paint the backgrounds. You can't really do that with watercolor. You can't really put watercolor in a dip pen. I've tried it. It sort of vaguely works, but it's not really meant to flow the way this is. So, cool. All right. Hashi says all 6 legs of an insect are attached to the thorax. Yes. All right. That's, Charmin says she looks better from further away too. I think these moths probably look better quite a lot way away. I think if it landed on you, you'd be like, "Argh." Let's have a look at the next guy. I mean, that is nuts, right? This looks like after I had my sister-in-law's dog here and I groomed her one day, and this is kind of what came out. So Nikki wants to know if that little fuzzy thing above the moth is the caterpillar. Certainly it is. It's not a fuzzy thing. It's a carefully observed nature study that is photographic in its realism. Either that or it's a corn cob that's turned moldy. So Nancy wants us to send all the samples from the sponsor so we have them before the sessions. I'll get on that, Nancy. By all means, you're right. Or I could just come to your house. All right, so how to draw this? Because I do have white ink, but I really don't want to get into it. So I'm kind of thinking I might just do it in black. I might do it in black. Just use some good old ye olde India ink. India ink. Ink straight from the Punjab. Well, Punjab isn't really in India anymore. Punjab is where I spent my childhood, where my mother was born, which was India when she was born there, but is currently part of Pakistan. So we're going to use the India ink. Here we go, dipping into the India ink. Ooh, this bottle is kind of low. I might have to grab a freshie. All right, so here's, I need my bottle of India. I use a lot of India ink. And here is, come on. Yeah, just drop some on the floor. Fortunately, it's in the box. So here's, look at how cute this illustration is. Not sure who did it. Does it say? No, made in France. All right, so let's get a freshie here. What if I opened it and accidentally poured it all over my banded tussock? Would you be surprised? No. You would say, oh, this must be Draw With Me, where that guy totally ruined his drawing. All right, so I think I'm going to move over here. And maybe I'll draw this guy here. I don't know. Or I could just draw along the top. I don't know. I haven't really thought about the design of this page. I'm really trying to wrestle. But there is one thing I should have thought of, okay, which is, in general, it would be smarter to have started on this side of the page. Because if I'd started here, then when I put my hand down, I wouldn't put it on a wet ink drawing, because I could have worked my way across, but I didn't. So I'll do it now. I'm going to do this guy over here. How do we even do this? How do we even draw this guy? You know, what are we even going to do? Well, let's think about what we want to suggest here. It seems like he has some kind of a little body underneath. So that's what I could do, maybe that's what I'll do. I'm going to suggest that he has a little body underneath. How am I going to do that? Like this. So I'm just doing kind of a black and white version of this guy, but I'm not going to do, I mean, he's white, but I'm going to do it almost in reverse. Okay. Should dry pretty quickly. But I'm going to hit it with this anyway. So I think this is, see, what I liked about having this little thing underneath is you can see that he has a little bit of a body underneath. It's not just something that blew out of the dryer. It looks like there's a bit of mass underneath that. If you're a bird, you'd have something to chomp on. So this is the black waved flannel moth, which is great. What a great name. I'm not sure what the waved means, but it is. It is. So I'm drawing these lines kind of in parallel to sort of suggest that he has a body underneath there. Because I don't want this just to be a chaos of scratchy lines. I want to suggest that there's something that I put some thought into this drawing. All right, so now here's another thing I like about the dip pen is you can just do all kinds of lines. So I can do really pretty fine lines here, and I can pull lines down that are fine, and then they get thicker if I want. It's a little wavy. Got a little wave in its hair. I have no idea. I mean, I imagine that there are some kind of legs underneath this. It's like a sheepdog or something, right? So there must be something underneath there. But this is an opportunity also to try and make some lines that are expressive. You know, think about each line that you're making. Does it have some intentionality? It isn't just a bunch of scribbles. You know, that is so key. Scribbling is, nobody wants to look at scribbling. But you can just do kind of abstract lines, and it's sort of interesting to look at. It has energy, and it has intentionality. Intentionality meaning you appear to have known what you were doing, or appear to have had an idea in mind when you did it. I'm also looking at the kind of clusters of lines and shapes here. So could draw the branch that he's on, but I'm not going to get into that because I purposely don't want. I want to just focus on the critter. But that looks like something. It's black rather than white, but that's the way it goes. So the black waved hyphen. Flannel. Now, when I was a kid, a flannel was what Americans call a washcloth or a wash rag, which I really hate. But we called it a flannel. Flannel is what you wash your face with. Flannel. In America, flannel is just a kind of fabric. But the black waved flannel moth, I wonder what the flannel comes from. But there you go. So Jace is doing it with white crayon and toned paper. Yeah, that's good. That's a great idea. That is a great way to do this. What I was thinking is, are these drawing inks waterproof after drying? They are water resistant, which means that they are fairly waterproof, but yeah. So yes. I had a fantasy, which was, what if I painted a green background over the top of the whole thing, but I'm not going to. I like this. I like this little clumpy caterpillar right now. But let's have a look at his older brother. Look at that guy. How cute is that? I mean, that is really unreal looking. So that clump unfolds and becomes this creature. What do you think? So let's see. Karen used a white Uniball Signo and a black fine liner. And Terry used watercolor and painted it in the negative with green. Good. I thought about that. Yeah, so interesting. Okay. So good. So lots of different approaches. How are we going to do this guy? Because here I'm thinking, because I did his progenitor, as it were, in black ink, I think I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to treat him, rather than doing like a little watercolor paint, a little watercolory kind of thing, I'm going to just do a straight up line drawing of him. I'm going to start here at the top. So these are all the kinds of things we have to think about before we start drawing, which is, what's our strategy? Do you have a strategy for doing this? A lot of different ways we could have done that guy above. So in this case, I want to have some kind of connection between the moth and the caterpillar. So I feel like it makes sense to, use similar media, similar approach. I think if I did him in a very, very different style, in a different medium, it just wouldn't hold together. So yeah, this is really nice to do. It's really, I like this kind of like little details, lots of little lines. I like that kind of thing. Look at how cute his front legs are. It's like an Afghan hound or something. Yeah, that's, again, kind of cute in a photo. I think I'd be a little creeped out by it if it actually flew on me. I don't mind insects, as long as they're not going to sting me. I did get actually severely bitten by some ants in our backyard a couple weeks ago. I thought it was a mosquito bite. It burned and itched for probably a week. I didn't even realize that I was getting attacked by these bastards, but I was. All right, this guy, you can actually see all of his wings. I mean, all of his legs, so that's good. He's sort of almost like feathery. I imagine that there's some goal in the look of this, like there's some reason that this adaptation happened. Like, what is he supposed to look like? Looks a bit like a feather. Could that be what it is? He's trying to look like a discarded feather. That would be really unappetizing, maybe. So why is it called the black waved flannel? Flannel. Come on. Wake up. I mean, I guess they're these waves. Is that what this is? This is the thing that it got named for? These little tiny waves back here? Yeah, I guess so. I guess some, what do you call person who studies butterflies is it called Lepidoptera? What is the word? There's a word for that, but I don't know what the word is for people who study moths. Although, as I said, we did have one last year who was kind of a regular on in our chat for a while. Maybe she got her degree, and now she's out there in the world chasing moths. What do they do when they graduate? Do you think they have a moth ball? That smell of mothballs. So when this dries, I might consider going over it with a little bit of yellow. Canary yellow, maybe. I might. We'll see. See if there's time or inclination. Wow, we were actually at the end of our allotted time. That sucks. We're going to have more time today, because I have one more really juicy critter for us to draw. But this is taking longer than I thought. And I'm glad that we spent the time to get this right. I hope you feel like you got it right. But now I think I would let it dry a bit, and then go over it with some color. Should we do that? Let's just do that. And I'll just show you the picture of the final, because the final moth is insane. The caterpillar is insane. Hold on a second, let me just dry this. All right, so Hashi found out the answer, which is that a lepidopterist is what they call it. I had that word somewhere lodged in the deeper recesses of my mind. I just couldn't pull the whole thing out. But yes. All right, so I don't really know what exactly the difference is between a moth and a butterfly. Is it what the technical distinction is? I'm a little worried about this. I'm not fully confident that it's dry. But so what would happen if I went over it and it wasn't dry? Yeah, it feels, see it? I got a little smudge there. Got a little smudge. I can't tell you how many times I've done this with India ink. I'm always so impatient. Will you give me one more second to just try and hit this up a bit more? All right, so Hashi, our resident expert, says there are multiple differences. One key is the antenna. Yeah. Because nowadays, so many young butterflies, they switched over to cable, and now they're just using Ethernet. But yeah, the difference is the antenna. All right, so what happens if I do this? You see? Yeah, it's good. It's working. Not ruining anything. Put a bit of fuzz there. Cute. All right, so that worked out okay. And then I could do tiniest smidgen of brown. A little afraid, but what's the worst that'll happen? I'll utterly ruin it and feel horrible. but I don't. I feel okay. It worked reasonably well. Okay. Step back and have a look at this guy. Now, okay. All right, so let me just show you before we head out. Look at that. That's the Cecropia moth. How insane is this? I think that some Disney movie used it, or maybe it was Pixar. I mean, look at that thing. That is a pretty crazy thing. So if you want to draw some more, check out the Cecropia moth, which becomes this. Kind of a letdown, right? I mean, it's nice enough, but that caterpillar, God, it looks like a Scandinavian subway train or something. No offense if you're Scandinavian. I think it's very cool and modern looking. This little orange and blue things, that's really cool. Yes, that would have been fun to paint. So anyway, just go and look it up. Cecropia moth. Google it. You'll find a million examples of it. And you can do your own. Because it would be cool to finish this page, right? You want to finish this whole page. Let me see if I can give you that. Hold a second. Let me just switch and so I can show you. Yeah. All right, so that's what we got so far. But you could have that Cecropia thing up here and have somebody else in there. This whole page looks like it could use some more work. But here it is. We spent an hour on moths and caterpillars. Pretty good. I think it was fun. So Kelly says that that's the one who smokes a hookah. Yeah. Is it in Alice in Wonderland? Possibly. I know. There we go. Barbara said the same thing. The hookah. Okay. Nancy says it looks like something from the movie Dune. Yes. The moth version, as I showed you before, looks like this. Meh. It's okay. It looks sort of like I don't know. It looks like a Pendleton blanket or something. But compared to that guy. Anyway. All right. So let's keep working on these. I think there's some more to do. And if you wanted to go out and do some research of your own, just Google cool caterpillar moths. Just look for Google moths and their caterpillars, and then you'll see some stuff. So yeah, let's move on. All right. So some final reminders. I would love to get you this set of Winsor Newton inks. I hope you saw, they are a lot of fun to play with and a lot of things that you can do with them, which is cool. And we're going to be sending out a set of them to somebody. So send us your mailing address and we will throw your name in the hat. I want to see your moths and caterpillars. So please share them on social media, tag them. In other words, when you put up the post, when you upload it to Instagram or Facebook, just write hashtag SBS Draw With Me. And then we will be able to gather it so we can have a moth-infested, caterpillar-crammed cavalcade next week when we begin the show. Danny'sEssays.com. I write one every Friday, and it's free, and you can sign up for it. Or if you prefer, you can buy my book, You Do You, out now. Just go to DannyGregory.com. Or if you want to just go right to Amazon, do that. Or if you want to, read more about it, whatever, go to my website. And there's stuff about all my books there. This has been really fun. I'm sorry JJ wasn't here with us, but we had fun nonetheless. So what is the name of the last one, please? The last moth is Cecropia. C-E-E. All right, I was trying to get out of here gracefully, but I will show you this again. Cecropia. C-E-C-R-O-P-I-A. Cecropia. All right. Don't say I never did nothing for you. Sarah says the inks match the translucence of the moths nicely. It's true. It's true. That was nice. All right. So that was fun. Nancy says that JJ went out of town but left her hairdryer home. Why do you assume that it's not my hairdryer? You think that I wake up looking like this? No. It takes a lot of maintenance, a lot of work. All right, guys. Enough tomfoolery. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.